So the UK is in a cucumber crisis. The question is, what are we going to do about it? Well, I've got a few answers, and it all starts with this little pack of seeds. So according to the British Growers Association, 90% of farmers that would have already started their first sowing of indoor greenhouse crops for the year, so cucumbers, tomatoes, aubergines, peppers, things like that, haven't sowed them because they can't afford the price increases from the fuel crisis that's currently hitting the UK really, really hard. So a cucumber would have cost 25p for a producer to produce last year. This year, there's a 70 pence more on top of that 25p, which is taking the average production of one cucumber to over £1. Now, they can't afford to do that. They can't afford to run these greenhouses that keep the crops warm in the inclement British weather that we have in, and that we do have throughout the year. So they just said, no, we're not going to do it. We're not going to sow. We can't do it, which is going to leave us short of cucumbers and all the other foods that I mentioned before, not just cucumbers. So we need to decide what we're going to do about it. They've warned us, they've told us, and the supermarkets will try and compensate for it. So they will try and get produce in from further afield, but countries all around the world are having the same problem right now, which is going to mean the cost of cucumbers is going to be extortionate in the supermarkets in the not too far distant future. So we need to decide what we're going to do. My advice is to start growing them. They're easy to grow. The past couple of years I've grown cucumbers. They don't really need that much hard work, and you don't need a polytunnel, and you don't necessarily need a greenhouse. So let's have a look at all the ways that we could think about growing cucumbers at home. Okay, so the first option is the one that I'm sitting in right now. So you can grow cucumbers undercover in the UK really easily, but you can't really start producing them and producing fruit from them for a good few months yet. But they can be grown, sown in a polytunnel, undercover, in a greenhouse, and they'll grow. As soon as the weather gets warm, they'll do really well. The second option is to grow them outdoors. So again, that's also having a little bit of a problem with time, because they can't really grow outside until June, but you can start sowing them this month in April, bringing them up inside your house or on a sunny window ledge, and then as soon as the weather's fine enough in June, you can pop them out. There's specific varieties and breeds that you need to probably look for if you're going to grow them outside in the UK. There's one called Market More, I think, but the general name for them is ridge cucumbers, and you need to look for those type of cucumbers because they do really, really well outside, and that's the type you're going to want to be growing if you've got some outdoor space. Cucumbers are vine-in plants, so they do stretch out and like to grow, but you don't need to support them on a frame or anything special like that. If you don't have one or you don't want to, then don't do it. You can just leave them and let them go where they want, and they'll still produce lots and lots of cucumbers. The third option that you can do is you can grow them in your own home. You can grow cucumbers inside. Yeah, it's going to take a bit more planning, but you can start now. There's no reason why you can't. They need a warm, sunny window ledge, a nice place to start growing, and then you're going to need to make sure that they've got a reasonable sized pot to grow on into, because they need to spread their roots out. The only thing you need to consider when you're growing them inside is the fact that they won't be pollinated by the bees and the insects that would usually pollinate them outside, but that's easily overcome. You can either there are specific types of flowers on cucumbers that only have the female flowers, so they don't need pollinating at all, which is a winner. So they can be found online, or you can just pollinate them yourself. Get a paintbrush, and you have to just identify which one's a male, which one's a female, and just go for it. Get the paintbrush and just start dabbing around and swapping pollen from one flower to another flower to another flower, and you only really need to do it once a day, and you've pollinated your flowers. So you should be able to grow cucumbers indoors really, really easily that way. And you can start that now because you've got the same more or less temperature indoors all the time. It's warm enough for them. There's absolutely no reason why not. So out of those three options, there's something for everybody there. If you've got space like me at the allotments with a big polytunnel, grow them in the polytunnel. If you don't, grow them outside. If you don't have any outside space, grow them in your house. There's always a way round a situation. And there's no reason not to, really, apart from the fact that you don't want to. And if you don't want to, that's fine, don't do it. But we've been warned, we've been told what's going to happen. So there's no reason why we shouldn't start trying to take a little bit of the power back to ourselves and growing our own food. If it's not going to be able to be supplied in the supermarkets, we need to start doing it ourselves, and we need to start looking after each other. And if we're growing in our house cucumbers, maybe our neighbours could grow tomatoes and we could swap. But there's all sorts of ways around these problems that are coming our way, and we don't have to remain a victim to what's happening by greedy corporations and companies, in my opinion. So what I thought we could do is, I've got some cucumber seeds here. I'm waiting for my main order of cucumbers at the moment, because I don't usually sow them until sort of towards the end of April. But I've got some here that I thought we could pop in now, just so you can see how easy it is just to put some cucumbers in, and we'll see how they get on. So let's go over to my potting table over here. Okay, so what are you going to need to be able to put cucumbers in? You're going to need some seeds. You can find cucumber seeds, if you don't want to buy them online, for any fancy varieties or breeds. You can find them in Wilkinson's, in your local town centre, or in any of the big shops really sell lots of seeds. So it's worthwhile having a look, see what's available locally if you don't want to order online. I've got these ones. These ones were just from Lidl, but I've got my main order coming from Premier Seeds Direct, which will be here in a few days, hopefully. So what do you need? You need seeds, you need a pot, and some compost, and that's it. So this pot is just a 9cm pot, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 3 seeds into this pot and 3 seeds into the other pot. Because cucumbers generate something that's known as a taproot, which means that that root doesn't like to be disturbed once it's been settled. So what I'm doing is I'm going to grow them in the bigger pots instead of my usual small seed trays. And let them get to a reasonable size in here, and then hopefully just be able to move them undisturbed into the ground or into a grow bag, wherever I choose to grow them on into, once they're a bit bigger. But you could just plant them straight into a big tub if you wanted to. If you're going to grow them inside your house, there's no reason why not. I'm going to put 3 in here because that gives at least one of them a good chance of germination. If all 3 come through, then I'll just get rid of 2 of them and just keep the strongest one. So let's put them in. So 3, 1, 2, 3, space them out a little bit. 1, 2, 3. And that's it. All you need to do is just grab some compost, throw it on top, so they're all covered up. And then I'm going to give them a little bit of a watering in a minute. So now all you need to do is wait for them to germinate. So all that means is they will grow just on top of the soil here, a little sprout, and they'll start growing bigger and bigger every day. Now for me to do that, what I like to do is I take them home, put them somewhere warm, and I don't put them on a window ledge yet. I keep them somewhere reasonably out of the light, not in a total dark cupboard, but somewhere out of bright light. And then once they come through and once they start to show, I'll take out 2 that I don't want, keep 1, and then pop them on the window ledge in the light and let them grow. And it doesn't take long for them to grow into nice, healthy looking plants. And then as soon as you're ready, you can just pop them into something bigger, like one of these if you're growing inside. Or you can buy a big grow bag at the shop to put them in and let them grow on somewhere in a greenhouse or a polytunnel or whatever you've got available. So that's it. 3 ways that you can manage to grow cucumbers at home, no matter where you live and what the space is that you have available. It's important to be aware that over the next coming months, there's going to be more and more stories coming out, more and more price increases at the supermarket, and more fear being generated. And what's so important, no matter what, is to never get yourself into fear or a sense of lack or insecurity. There's always something that you can do about it. It just involves having a clear mind and thinking ahead. So until next time, bye.